for you to seek independence financial, there must be some kind of bondage or slavery. So unless you are able to accept that there's something in your life, financially or in terms of resources that is not at work, it becomes very difficult for you to progress in the right direction. So finding financial freedom is a very powerful guide for setting yourself free and getting that independence. So I was saying that Mike Chichi is a lawyer, an accountant, and recently, or maybe the last 20 or so years, has joined the ministry. So he joins the ministry from the corporate world, and he has a lot of personal illustration of how I see so much similarity between me and him, because things I started to do, as I said, when I was just having 12 years old, he was doing the same things. The only thing I had not been taught how to convert what I did into wealth. For him, his father, who was also an accountant, had taught him how to convert everything into wealth. So he has amazing books. Every book is very practical. The one that I finished reading recently, which is quite fresh from the press, it's called 40 Strategies that Millionaires Use. And I can tell you each strategy is so applicable. I'm just using them to prepare what I've already started in my own life. There are other resources that I came with today. These are just samples, but you can see how you can use them. I talked about how I started writing small journals. If you come now to my house in Glasgow, I have a full library of the notes that I've been writing. And some of them are based on inspiration. So I hear about, by the way. So I heard what was going to happen with the general election in Kenya. And I told my family and my close friends before anything happened. I hear of opportunities. I hear of resources like finances, when huge resources are about. I'll give you some illustrations. Kitengela, in the year 19, I think it must have been either 89 or 90. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so I just landed in Kitengela, and I just loved Kitengela so much. It had two streets. No, not streets. It had two lands. So there were shops on this line and shops on this line, and just a few lodgings at the back. That's what was in Kitengela when I first went there. There was only one church in the prisons. And I just felt in my spirit that this is going to become a very big city. It's going to become a place where wealth will turn around. And I declared it. And I started telling people, come and start to position yourself in this place. Some of my friends and families thought that's too far-fetched to never happen. We used to buy an acre of land for 5,000 shillings. So I'm the one who went around Kitengela, naming the names you hear in Kitengela. I named them myself. And I named them prophetically. So I said, this will be where the rich people live, and it's going to be called Milimani. This is where happy families will live, and it will be called Happy Valley. Those are the names that are there. Then the next thing, which was great, was this Nairobi. The Lord told me the shift that's going to happen in Nairobi and where wealth will settle in the next 50 years. And I remember I had just landed from the airport. I went to my brother-in-law's house he used to live in South Sea, is it South Sea or something? And I told them, this is what I have. And mark my word, just look at that line and see what's going to happen. And I remember that my brother-in-law immediately strategically positioned himself, and the rest is history. That's why the wealth of this city is going to be domiciled for the next 50 years. So I've progressed. So I write two things. I write dreams. So if I get a dream, if I get an insight, if I get a revelation, I write it in this book. I'm now trying to make them custom-made for myself and for other people. But I also write the fulfillment of what has happened. I think I must be having over maybe 300 journals or notebooks that I've written. The other thing I do is to write my success stories. So I have there's nothing else written there. It's just, these are all blank pages. And I want to encourage anybody who's going to follow, because every stage of breakthrough encourages you. So one time, getting 100 shillings for me was impossible, because when I worked the whole weekend, I was in school. When I worked the whole weekend, I would earn maybe 50 or 60 shillings to the max. Those days, that was a lot of money. But that would propel me to think, what else can I do to move on? I'll not give the whole story now because it's a long story, but I ended up becoming a businessman in my high school. I ended up being, I was even giving loans to my teachers. By the time I'm in Form 3, almost all the teachers would come to me on the 10th or the 15th of the month, and everybody would take a loan of 50 bob, 50 bob, 50 bob. At the end of the month, when they get their salary, they'd all come and pay me 55, 55, 55. And so I had a free flow of doing business in school. And then so the cameraman and selling the success cards and things like that. But that had started earlier when I was in primary. I used to buy bread and butter my bread and sell per toast, per slice. So, but it's good to write things, and to the point I'm talking about there is how you progress from one level to the other. So earlier on in the first session, I talked about planning, but now here you are documenting the successes of your clan. So I said that in my first notebook, which I still had, there was an item there. I remember the items very well. One was a belt. I wanted to buy a nice belt. I wanted to buy 2 underwears. I wanted to buy some pair of socks and things like that. And my father started to envy me in a good way. He said, you know, the things you buy, nobody else thinks about buying those kind of things. They get money, they buy sweets. But if you plan, you can't plan to buy sweets. Are you getting the point? Yeah. Where does most of the money go for many people? It's consumer goods. Why? Because they don't plan. When they have money, they see this, I want that, and they get into difficulties. So those are important resources. We'll have our own properly prepared for you, so that we all have the same kind of things and all that, and we can follow through. This one has always been the center of my life. There's so many promises that are put in the Word of God. Initially, I used to carry the whole Bible, but I said, why should I carry the whole Bible when I can just carry the promises? And when I read the Bible, I can read the Bible. So these are just promises. And I walk with them. And you know, I'll be telling you one that is very important before the end. And the other resources are very practical resources for becoming wealth. I got to become a friend of Chris, the late Chris Kirubi, almost about 18, 20 years ago. And I used to go and see him in his office, International Life Funds. And we would sit, I was talking, and we would sit and he would tell me his visions. And he would tell me how he makes money. And he would tell me how people hate him for how he makes money, but he doesn't care. He said, okay, me, I'm not a Christian like you. I make money in many ways, but money is important for me. And you go on and tell you how people have made impact and things like that. But one thing he told me which had not happened was Vipingo. And how he was going to get Vipingo and what he was going to do before anything happened. So I became very passionate about following. Even just the other day, I took my wife and my son, because I know the seed of Vipingo and I know how it has happened. That time, 2 Rivers was small. It wasn't even in mind. There was no even possibilities. So creating images of what you believe and converting them into something that you'd like to see regularly has transformed my life. I started creating very simple images of vegetables and cabbages. I remember when I was finishing my Form 4, I sat with a notebook and designed how I'm going to plant my cabbages and how I'm going to water those cabbages and how long they're going to take to grow and how much I'm going to sell the cabbages. I did the whole balance sheet and where I was going to sell my cabbages. I'm talking of Form 4, you can imagine how old I was. I think I was about 16 or something like that. And I did exactly that. The good news is that my cabbages shaped very well. They came up very, very well. And when they were just about to be harvested, we used to have a cow that was called Kalindi. And Kalindi went wild one night and it ravaged all my cabbages. But you know, although I lost heart for doing agriculture then, and I've just come back now, the image of those cabbages still in my mind, and the potential of what I would have made with my cabbages is still large, and it propels me because it shows me the power of creating an image of what you want. So recently, I've been meeting my friends who own their own aircraft. One of them owns a helicopter, and I go and I sit there, and I feel nice about them. I'm not no longer excited about public flights like Kenya Airways, Emirates, and all, because I've been with them now for many years. I get excited when I get to some of this private jet. It has a bed, it has a small kitchen there, kitchenette, it has a shower, it has everything. And it just excites me. Okay, some people can say that's vanity. But if you have nothing to dream, if there's nothing to be excited about, life can be so boring. So you must always exceed your reach. So I've designed in my family, I've designed an airstrip. It's very well structured, how it's going to be. And then somebody comes and tells me, okay, before you do anything with your airstrip, can we be using it to train our students and do the other things? So how close am I now to my jet? But first of all, you have to conceptualize. So I started designing things like this and getting people to buy them before even we sold anything. There's so much I'll talk about that. So I was just telling you how this was conceptualized with Pingo, how he used to dream about it, and how it happened in his lifetime. And the reason I brought these two resources is because it's an assignment I'm going to give to each and every one of you. Or you want to copy? Just to see how to keep it.
First to see.
You can circulate them and then we can discuss. But I want you to think, what is it that engineer? Are you going to be the main engineer that distributes all the earth-moving equipments in this country to fulfill that demand, which is very, very huge? Joseph, are you going to be the next innovator who's going to produce whatever? How can you translate that into a document that you can now have it and you can show people? And can you work that financially? My family sits with me all the time when I'm in the US and the UK presenting visions. And those visions, most of the time, there's nothing that is there. And I've created a lot of friends, and I've got people to run away. I told you about Ken, who ran away with 3 of my business. No, he didn't steal, I gave them to him. One of the business he told me it has a turnover on a monthly basis of 1 billion shekels. One of them. Here in Nairobi. They went to Ngong Road and bought one of the biggest buildings there along Ngong. What am I trying to say? There's power in visualization. And therefore it's important to put down what you do. So let's go to this session. And have I finished the resources? Oh, yeah. This is the one I'm talking about. This proximity to the city of the time. When I conceived this, there was nothing. I just saw 2 things. And this is the way to conceptualize. I saw a need and I saw an answer. And most of the wealth is created by solving problems. Wisdom is the ability to solve problems. And everybody is paid based on the nature and the level of problems they're able to solve. So if you cut my grass in my compound, in my garden, your resource is equivalent to that solution you've solved for me. Because anybody can cut grass anytime. Nowadays, we even have remote lawnmowers. You just sit in your bed and you press the button, the lawnmower gets out of the garage, it loads, and then comes back and parks itself in the garage. So, what the problems we solve are they mechanical That's the level one where it's just anything, anybody can do it. It can be done by humans. And then intellectual, mechanical, that's mechanical and physical. And then intellectual, that is where you have to use your brain and think through. Or the wisdom related, that is nobody else is able to crack that solution. The level of problem you are able to solve determines how fast you can go where you're going. So the mechanical problems, you can only solve one problem at a time. You can only cut grass in one compound at a time. Intellectual problems, sometimes you can multiply yourself by delegating and sharing what you're able to do. But again, you solve it. But there are things that you can do that are exponential. You come up with an innovation, you come up with a solution that is used beyond you. You don't even need to know what is happening, but problems have been solved all over the world. So my destiny is my choice is the topic for today. My destiny, my choice. So, as I said earlier, to the point, what comes you to the most exceptional problem of your time. So you have to be convicted that if you're going to get where you need to be, that this is exceptional. Many people do so many things for the sake of doing them. They either do them because of their friends, they do them because of their family. But I want to believe that the 10 who will finish are people who come here believing that this is beyond anything else I've come across. This has more than I can ever imagine or hope or expect. And this is what is going to fulfill my purpose. And as I told you earlier on, when I conceptualize something that is transformation, I don't leave it for anything. I go with it with all my might. And I've done that again and again. So to the point we'll give you the most empowered support. When I give you the structure of the different clubs we are going to have, or the different group support groups we are going to have, you quickly notice that through this door or through this gate, let me call myself a gate, you're going to be able to enter into networks, into resources that you have not even conceived before. And when I say you have not conceived, because God keeps on surprising me every moment. The other day, somebody came in Malindi. Well, he came to a friend and he said, I've been told that you're doing X, Y, Z. I said, yes. I have X, Y, Z. And because I cannot do anything with what I have, but you're already doing something with what you have, I want to give what you have, what I have to you, so that you can use it to fulfill my dreams. You don't get it. He said, I've worked here for 4 years. I've never experienced what you do. I've had what you do. And therefore, I want to give you everything that I have to fulfill. And that is possible. And to continue to be possible as long as, you see, fire can do anything. I don't know whether you've come across fire. You have, indeed, you have. But there's some fire that can only burn people, But there's fire that cuts people. What is the difference? Intensity. The intensity and temperature of the fire. What makes it so intense? What makes that fire so intense to be able to do what the paper fire can? So, fuel and oxygen. So what does fuel and oxygen do to the fire to give it the distinction? Good, the speed. So there's a way you concert what you have. So concerting gives velocity. So the more you push it towards it, the more you compress it, you allow it to have impact. But that can only be a conviction in the human realm. There's nothing else you can do other than being totally confident. I went to Malindi in the year 2014. Somebody showed me a piece of land. The person who introduced me, I'll never forget, is called Bishop Kimani. Bishop Kimani is the bishop of Deliverance Church in Simon. So it was Bishop Kimani and his wife. They said, "This man, don't go and show him something small. This man thinks big." And in the introduction, these guys, I don't know what they were trying to go and show me. And they went and showed me. They said, based on the introduction, we have a small piece of land here that we'd like you to buy. So I said, "So how big is the land?" I said, "It's only 50,000 acres. You're not getting the point. But once we finish with this one, we can look whether our neighbors have something." What had been put was a trust that was in the system. And when I went, within less than a month, and I think our friend Nicholas is not here, he can show you, we had already created the image of those 50,000 acres and what that is going to do. And the rest is history. There's so much that is now happening because of that seed and the pressure and the velocity that was put in it. What I'm trying to say is that this program has that capacity to help us pull together, because we've seen it happen again and again. God revealed to me, and you hear this point about that I need to quickly acquire a property along the bypass. So I tried to clarify which bypass. I was just for a bypass, as long as it has a vicinity. We already have a property in the bypass where the church is and everything. So I'm praying, and some people call me and they say, "We want to help in every way." Sometimes it gets suspicious when people tell me they want to help, because many people have come to help me and they're really not helping me. Anyway, I'm saying there's no harm. So in that first conversation, so actually what we want to do, we have a piece of land along the bypass, and the value is so much, but because of this, we're going to sell it to you for this much. I said, okay. So I put pressure immediately on myself. We're talking of several millions, so it's not like thousands or 100,000s. And then I went back and said, okay, that was not my priority. It's your priority. How are we going to make it happen? I was given to the penny of how that is going to happen. What am I trying to say? There is an effort that is normally put together that gives you a design. It gives you a blueprint. And those of you who believe in the word of God, you will know that that's how it used to happen before. But we were talking right there of how we have relegated ourselves from the Premier League to the ordinary league. We have relegated ourselves from the Premier League. So what we normally do when we are relegating ourselves to that level is that we deny ourselves the potential to fulfill the extraordinary, the miraculous, the out of this world. And if it is possible for you to see everything before it happens, and you are able to convert that which you have seen into reality, why is it that those people who have the capacity are the poorest? And when I'm talking of poorest, I'm not saying that they don't have food to eat. Maybe on average, everybody must have food to eat, they have a shelter, they have something. But they cannot wield authority. They cannot command destinies because of that. So it's important. So we'll help ourselves to have our dreams come to pass. So we operate in a level, in a way that we are able to translate. And that's why I say we must have a dream, because that which you're perceiving here, that which you're seeing as I talk, can be translated into resources. I realize I'm really running out of time. Can I just get maybe another 10 minutes? I'll push a bit and then we will steal that from the other departments. Is that okay? Because I'm going a bit slow. Let me try to rush it. So we are entering into the final frontiers The reason why God wants to give us a lot of wealth is because this is the end times, and both kingdoms are going quite fast. We are preparing for this best end game strategy for the willing. Are you willing?
Yes.
Yes. If you're willing, you shall eat the good of the land. So it's for the willing. It's people who are determined, people who are committed, people who are focused. You have the best opportunity to address the future. Even just in Kenya, I'm so convinced that there are things that people are hoping will happen that will not happen. But there's so much that they have not seen that will happen. And this was spoken at different levels. That's why you see America getting so interested in that almost instantly. That's why you see the rest of the world, and I think you're going to see coming alongside, because the power that we have as a nation and that we have as individuals is huge. So you have the best resources in the world and in history to attain the best. So what used to take people forever to achieve is now so possible. And I'm talking in terms of ownership, in terms of very few people of my background would have dreamt to be where I am or where you are today. So what you really need to do is now consolidate what God has given. So wealth. So if you're not interested in it, my brother Daniel was saying he has now had a mind shift. But if peradventure you're listening to me and your mind has not shifted, and wealth is still not a good thing because you might not enter heaven. That heaven, which we are all going to enter by God's grace. Remember that there's even a heaven here that God, Jesus said, we need a complete synchronization. Did you hear that? Did you hear Jesus saying, even before you think about many things, think about synchronization. That will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That heaven, let it happen here. Yes. So if you're not having that heaven here, you are losing the picture. And the most important thing is for us to create that synchronization. So that if you want to build a church, you don't look for the farthest corner of the city, or you don't look at the farthest, cheapest place available. You can hear that Nation House are selling their building, and you go to Nation House and say, we'd like that for our ministry. And you can write a check. And you don't need even to do a fundraising, because the endowment funds that are already sitting in your organization are more than what that building needs. And because that's what people are doing. I have a friend, as I said, every time a property is being sold within the vicinity of where he wants to develop, the issue is not how much. He doesn't negotiate. Even if this neighbor is trying to sell, just tell me how much and give me the contact. That is possible. It is realistically possible, but it's a journey that we need to make. So, for that to happen, we need to know how to find financial freedom. So, I have friends, I don't want to claim to be an expert in that area, but I have friends who are going to give the actual step-by-step of your financial documentation, financial records, financial plan, financial strategy, which now combines with what I'm going to instill in you to take you where you need to be. This program is also designed to help us attain the most stable strategy for victorious living. The biggest problem in living successfully is not the lack of money. That's not the biggest challenge. The biggest challenge is our mindset. And if you can get all the money that the world has, like the rich young people, you will end up being disturbed if you don't have a clear understanding of how to live a victorious life. Because it's not just attaining, it's not getting it one day. It is a perpetual experience. It's something that you want to have as you progress. I'm going a bit fast because I've been told I ran out of time a few minutes ago. But this is important for me to say. that you are not a carbon copy, you are an original design. And it is so important in this journey, in these 10 years, you get that which it is you. I'll tell you of a competition that happens every evening in this world. And in that competition, I may not get the figures right because the person who gave me the numbers was in such a rush, I was not able to write them down. But it's all. You know how many millions we have in the world? How many people we have in the world today? 7 billion? 7 billion. So you entered into a competition for a space in the 7 billion, and you are competing with, I think, 500 million. It's either 5 million or 500 million. 1 evening or 1 morning or whatever it was. And out of the 5 million, you are the only one who got through. Out of the 7 billion in the world. So your probability of existence is so little that you exist. You're not the same as anyone that you know. And what is there for you, as I told you at the beginning when I entered the UK for the first time, is for you to know I am unique. I came here for a purpose, and I have a design that is not a copy. And therefore, whatever shape or whatever structure that I shape for myself is meant to give me, is meant to give me completeness. That looking something that was a bit. So that's the place. I wanted to do this one letters because I couldn't see the naked eyes. So is there a way I can do that? I'm not used to talk like this. So it's very important to know how am I going to unveil the powerful purpose that God has designed for me. If we don't help you with anything else out of this session today, start asking yourself. Is it possible? Are there people who fulfill their purpose, like Paul, who said, I've fought the battle, I've finished the race? Is there a way you can look back and say that I did everything that I was meant to do? And can you align that with the word of God, or align that with whatever you believe in, and make it possible, or make it visible to the rest of the world? That is our big focus in our today's effort. The other one is that you have been God has uniquely assigned purpose to everyone. What is it that is assigned for? Do you take time to reflect and ask yourself what is your assignment? Every time I try to do everything else, I realize that I have one assignment. And that's why when I go to the World Bank program, where we met with my brother, I stand. We were saying that yesterday, we were going to see that when I already have one assignment that is so makes you an attractor call. When you try to be creative, people start to repeat something, nobody seems to be interested. However hard I work, nothing seems to happen. It's because you are a fish out of the water. Get back into you eventually. I try also to get out of myself because I see a lot of things that people do that I'd like to do. But I quickly realize that that's not me. I quickly realize there's something that is not about me. And so every time you're chasing for money, for wealth, for resources, outside you, outside your context, outside your destination, money will come and go because it's not there to fulfill your ego, your greed, your whatever else it is. I don't know. It's the other page that goes to. But money will follow. That it's very clear in the mind of God that you follow your vision, and your vision will lead you to the provision. And the third thing which is very important is that however many people delegate their lives and authority to others, please don't fit in. Stand up. Just the other day, I was saying to my wife during the election, I still have my mind is not completely gone. We went and all delegated our authority. So we delegated to a president, to a governor, to a senator, to a member of parliament, to a MCA, member of county assembly. 98% of the Kenyan population, they delegated once every 5 years. And they go back and they start to complain and to murmur and to say, we elected these people, but they're not doing what they told us they're going to do. When people were saying, oh, we're not sure whether this one is the best to be a president or the other one, I said to them, that should not even worry. All what you're doing is to delegate. You can decide not to delegate everything. You delegate what is allowed by law, but you keep the most and be yourself. And that's how people have made it in difficult times. That's why when everything else seems not to be working, they seem to continue prospering. They prosper in famine, they prosper in drought, they prosper in disasters. A good illustration, a good case in point is that of Isaac. Isaac went and delegated his authority to the king. But when he looked around, he said, these people, there's no vision. And when there's no vision, people perish. So he started to do what his father had shown him. So he took over back his authority. He said, I'm not going to die like anybody else. I will take back my authority. Because the king is not using the authority in the right way, the way I delegated. So he took back his authority and he started to do wealth the way his father had shown him. But because these leaders had lost the vision and they had no direction, they started following him. So you did the first well and you all come to the well. He said, no, this thing, I have the authority. You go to the next one. And if you look at what he's doing and you follow him, you will say, don't worry, you can stay there and you go to the next one because he had the authority over himself and his authority. He had reclaimed it. I want to tell you, everybody is delegated. Even in small people, some people will delegate authority on what they're going to eat. That's the last one I will delegate to anybody. I don't even delegate it to. I keep the authority of what I want and what for eating. That one is very important authority. I keep it. Then I keep the authority of where I'm going to sleep. I keep authority of my environment. I keep authority. So I can now be able to translate United Kingdom and bring it to Kenya, and take it from Kenya, take it to South Africa. I take it from the island because it is me. What makes me comfortable? What makes me, even in the plane, yeah, there's a place that I sit. I don't just go to the plane and return to sit in it. No, they know. Actually, now when I book a flight, even before I go to look online, they have already given me my seat. These are things that you determine by following specific patterns to achieve a specific goal. Maybe I want to promise 1 more minute and I'll be done. 1 more minute and I'll be done. This thing is bothering me. So what is our strategy?
I'll give you 7 minutes.
7 minutes, okay. Thank you very much. I was feeling very guilty. That's why I was rushing. I'll use 7 minutes. So what is our strategy? Number 1 is to tap from the most successful, influential people in your field. You don't have to tap from anybody. I have very good friends in the supermarkets. I have friends in other areas, and we sit and we eat and enjoy. I don't tap anything from them. Unless I have something to supply to them, I have something to sell. But there are people who are in my life like Dr. Michael Chitwood, because he embodies everything that is me. If he tells me come tomorrow, I'll book the next flight to the United States. We've now arranged him, we're coming to Kenya, so I'm not going to go. But everything that Dr. Michael Chitwood is represents me. So who are the people who are influential in my head? Once you join the class, there's the different groups that we have in the different categories. Once you choose the one you want, we'll assure you at least 3 mentors in your area that will be available to meet you at least once every 3 months. And you can talk. And by the way, don't talk about it. When I get you to these people, sit down and listen. Oh, they will give you, like if I put you in a seat with the CEO of Equity Bank or BT Bank or Mount Kenya University or whatever, you don't want to go and tell them a lot of things. Just go sit there, let them talk. And if they ask you a question, be precise. Just be precise. That's one thing I've learned. Dr. Mike Chitwood has an amazing suit. Amazing. And when I go there, there's just so many toys in his space. It is so easy to get carried away. But when I get there, I sit and listen. I appear as if I'm somebody who has not been to primary school. And I have my notebook, and I get excited when I start writing. And it starts telling me. I told you recently when I was there that everything he tells me, I have tried. Everything. One of the things he told me, and I was shocked in the year last week, is that you don't rest too much. Just that. First of all, I didn't know how he had known. And I didn't know why he said that. But I said I've increased my resting hours by 2.5 hours every day. And let me tell you just whatsoever. You have to listen and apply. It could be something very simple, but it could be so meaningful. Create cultures. What's that? Oh, the one was, okay. What has happened when you are moving this document from one system to the other in the spaces of last time? So we want to create cultures designed to help you to build a prosperous life. So what are cultures? Cultures are ways of life that people adopt into and makes them different. I'll tell you, some of the people you admire, they don't eat the way you eat, and they don't sleep the way you sleep, and they don't walk the way you walk. So they can tell you everything else, but unless you develop a culture that aligns itself with what you need and desire, your efforts and your knowledge and everything else will just be a crash. So we will help to build that and we'll work together. The other one is create networks that have a solid track record, to help us repair and develop progressive culture and attitude. So this is very helpful. There are so many people who are talking again about it, and I think we've talked with some of you. There are people who are wealthy, but you don't even want to be associated with them. I flew with one, Malindi. In the last maybe 1 year, he was making between $500 million to $1 billion a day. But when they said we want to come and visit you, where the children was going to come, I started praying. I even fasted. That my phone be deleted through a miracle from their phone. I prayed. And when I told my wife we were in the country, she did me from the airport. What? I hope we're not hoping that they're going to come and visit us. But that's the kind of money they were making. I have very clear information. So there are people that, however wealthy and prosperous they are, we don't want to do anything because our prosperity must be our own self. It must be something that can be taken into a classroom and taught. It is something that can be taken to a church and preached because it has credibility, it has clarity, it has direction. Now, I must make this disclaimer when many people make a lot of mistakes. In making wealth, there's something called multiplication. In multiplication, there's something called value. Are you getting the point? So you start with, for you to make wealth, you must be. Are we together? You cannot make wealth by action. And when you are multiplying, there has to be value that you are giving in what you're multiplying. I'll give you a very good example of something that I'm doing. I said this is what I'm finishing. It comes under point 3, but I'll finish the rest. When I went to my meeting and I saw all this land, I realized how my people in the diaspora are suffering because we left Kitengela when we were buying an acre of land, 5,000. You come back to Kitengela and 80 millions. So it doesn't matter how much you have earned in the last 30 years. You might not have grown that exponentially. Your growth and the growth of real estate and everything is not the same. So I said to people, oh, you guys were in Malindi. In Malindi, then, not now. When I first did, an acre was how much? Anybody can guess? Huh? Somebody else? No? Huh?
I was thinking the same 15.
So the first person who told me about land, the first person who told me between 3 and 4 years.
3 and 4.
3 and 4. Less than 10 years. When we announced that this opportunity is there, because that's my nature, I'm a very generous person. I go TV, I go everywhere. I say, let's go. We have found Canaan. We have found gold. We have found gold. Some people started coming. So what do I do myself? I start multiplying. So every time more 10 people come, the value goes by 10. The next time, the value continues to go. And the value continues to go. Today, the cheapest in the where we are is about 65,000. The cheapest. In December, I can give you in writing, majority of the places will be 130,000. In 10 years, when we are finishing this program, this one, a quarter acre will be 7 million. 7 million. Watch my words, write it down and come back. We now have all the real estate brokers there. We have some that will pay for your flight, take you to Malindi, give you lunch and everything. Because there's an attractor call. There's something that is attractive. But what you're doing is genuine. There's nobody who will stop you buying, and that's what most of, like just now, Bill Gates has bought hundreds and hundreds of thousands of acres of land because it's been proven to be the most effective way of making and keeping wealth. The most effective, even Steve Jobs had ordered for land to be bought. This guy of Tesla is not only buying land on Earth, he's also buying land in the moon. So you have to ask yourself, what are the cultures that you can have? Because you can have a deal culture where you get a deal and you get a cut. But what will you tell people? When you're teaching people in the classroom, what will you tell them you get to make that money? You cut deals. That's not a credible way. You can cut them. I'm not saying don't cut them, but I'm saying it's very important to look at solid, tested culture. I'll give you one hour. It's happening now. So we agree with you guys that everything that I'm going to give is something you can go to tomorrow to make money, and how you can now do it tomorrow, make that money and then move on. Somebody comes, gets introduced by a friend, and he comes and looks at the land, which now for me, it was just good land somewhere in sunny Athens. He took me to 10 things. He started to make them very quickly. And each day he gave me a calculation. So he said, if you found this, let's use pixel lenses because I'm the master, I'm very excited. He said, this is the amount of water you use, this is the amount of fertilizer you use, this is the way it's been done. I did it for so and so. She's not getting enough market, she's doing it in the better. I came to where she told me because we are like proving my points. And I was like, no, we don't have pixelologists. I said, where do you get them? From the vetter. And we can't do it because they have to spray after I don't know how so much. But now, there's no pixel. What do you do with pixel? You get the land, You get the seedlings, you plant. You don't have to plant a whole. You can start with a quarter acre, half a million. That's genuine money. But the multiplier effect in agribusiness is crazy. Because you can either do something like picks oranges, right, planting new seedlings, or you can do something like pineapple, which we are doing, where the first investment is the last investment. You're not getting the point. So you buy the first seed, you plant it on the ground. You never buy another seed. But every year, for 7 years, that seed will give you another 4 seeds. So if you had done a quarter acre, end of the first 18 months, you get your acre. End of the next year, you get 4 acres. End of the next year, 16. No, we are not doing it well. It goes bigger than that. It expands faster than that. Then your book, yeah? Huh? Just go into the factor of 4. That will make it easier. To the factor of 4. So, that pineapple has 4 major products out there. So you have the seed, you have the fruit, you can make your own fiber. You know this fiber, what do you call it? This. Yeah, you can make your garments and the rest and so on. But Kenyans or ourselves, I'm not even talking about Kenya, we here have dedicated all these things to Chinese. You go and do whatever you do, you know what Chinese do today? In our neighborhood, they come and get soil. You don't know none of China, but they choose the one that has what they want. And it's being shipped by trucks to Mombasa, being put in containers, going to China. The next time we buy it here, we are paying what they pay for a full 40-foot container to go to China. We pay one product. But it's our country. We want to build networks that have solid records to help us repair and develop a progressive culture and attitude. We cannot repair the current culture and attitude unless we do something. So when we become billionaires, some of us will be multi-billionaires. And proud. When I was going to start this, see what I had was to start a program called Operation Change Your Mind. But I said, what next? If you change your mind, what next? So God told me, you must be able to show people the end. And that's what I said at the beginning. So we've talked about creating solid networks. I've talked about creating effective systems that develop a fund. Oh, this is important. Why are many people getting money, but they're not wealthy? Why? Anybody with an idea? Because there's no way of doing that way. Actually, there's no fund. So it's so important in your planning. My wife, I give her a lot of credit. When we went to Malindi, and we saw how wealthy we can become in a very short time, she said, this one, everything we make here, we have to take it to Nairobi and convert it into wealth in the real estate. So yesterday I saw a property that is being sold for $1 billion. I said, this one, I just wanted to, I didn't say, but this one. And then I was told, before you get the one for $1 billion, it's one for 300 million. Because like David, you have to be able to keep on shooting at different levels. So you have to create a fund because money has wings. Has the Bible said that? Money has what? It can fly away. That's why you hear people talking of old money. Those guys who made money, and that money has stayed. They die, the children don't do much, but the old money still exists. I went together when I'm making old money by creating a fund. So what are the funds that we're going to create? I will be able to go through that. And finally, we need to demystify material wealth and align it with our destiny. There's so much mystery You can see where, but when you try to close it, you become closer. It becomes so foggy. You try to struggle. You try to struggle, and you can't make it. I made a decision in the summer of 2014 that I'll never lack. I'll never lack. And that was a difficult decision to make because it's the last year I got employed. From 2014, I started consulting, and quickly I saw myself consulting for World Bank, I saw myself consulting for USAID, I saw myself, at one time, I did 2017, 2018, I was consulting for 4 universities in Kenya at the same time. And being paid just for one consultancy, I'll be paid what you'd be paid to work for a whole year. And what is consultancy? What is consultancy? Anybody know?
Intellectual resource.
Yeah.
Consulting intellectual resource.
That's right. That's the most lucrative business or lucrative way of making wealth. The other day I sat with some governments, the newly elected governments, and I told them I come with a solution to all the problems we face in your counties. Just give 3 points, and it was like a competition. So